Alright, you lovely people, I am out today and I am just having a bit of practice with the Trangia. So I've not used it that much, so I'm out today just getting a little bit more practice cooking with it. I'm just cooking fried breakfast this morning, so an English fried breakfast. So sausages, eggs, mushrooms, tomatoes, all that kind of stuff. And it's meant to be a wet and windy one this morning, hence the tarp just as a little bit of cover. More for the camera equipment than me and the Trangia, but it is meant to be a bit of a wet one. So I'm just going to get this set up and I'll bring you back. So what I'm really interested in today is just understanding how to use the simmering, how to regulate the heat out of this thing so that I'm not cooking sausages too quickly, I'm not using the fuel too quickly. So it's just a case of just learning, just learning, just, messing around, seeing how best to cook. So I have 2 pork and apple sausages, and I have this in here instead of bacon, which is called vegetable roll. So it's meat packed with some kind of vegetable type things, don't know what they are, didn't ask me, you buy them from the butchers. So it's similar to black pudding. I think it's with beef rather than pork. I don't actually know. I should find out. Let me tell you about my little trip to Rhodes. I think I put up on the video. So the day before we flew, I came down with a stomach bug, which was like the worst timing ever. So I had that the day before we flew, the day we flew, and I think a day and a half after we landed. So that was kind of a bit of a, wasn't great way to start the holiday. Then I went from not being able to keep anything in, it's quite gross by the way, so I apologise now, not being able to keep anything in, to not being able to go for about 2 or 3 days. So I ended up having to go to the pharmacy. That's right. So yeah. And then we came back about 4 or 5 days later, I came down with COVID. So then I spent 4 days last week in bed. One of the things I have got since the last video though, got this little Leatherman Bond. So this is a UK legal Leatherman. The last one I had, which did a video, I can't remember which model it was, I actually sent back because the blade was too long and it locked in place, whereas this doesn't, and the blade's short enough to be legal, UK legal compliant. So that was a little Father's Day gift. But yeah, so apart from that, nothing else has really happened. I would say apart from illness and then COVID and the holiday. But it's just nice to be back out. The weather's a bit rubbish. It's just nice to be back out and just getting a bit of handling on kit, just seeing how to use it. And I know I talk about Mark quite a bit in the videos, but today I'm using one of his army tarps and his walking poles. So always try and bring out something that belonged to Mark, or that Mark had bought when I do come out. Hello pups. Hello. You're not allowed this. Yeah, you can smell food, can't you? Hey, off you go. No, come on. Absolute scrounger. Oh, I know. It's away. I thought I wasn't going to get rid of that then. So I had a dinner guest. So what I haven't really figured out yet is how best to use the simmering, because either things are just like sizzling hot, or I can't really control the heat that well. Which is why I'm out today practicing with this bloody thing. I suppose this is where gas is a hell of a lot easier. But again, you know what? This is one of my first times, I suppose, using this in a different way, trying to cook something using the simmer rings rather than just boiling water. And it's interesting because in the comments, I think it was on the video where I talked about why I switched from the X-Boil to the Trangia. You know, there was a lot of love. But equally, there's a lot of people turn around and say, like, you know, Trangia is only good for boiling water. You know, if you're just using dehydrated meals, and then there's other people out there who actually love them and would cook, you know, like potatoes, carrots, rice, meat, fish, chicken, all the different things on a Trangia, and even soups and stuff like that. So I don't. It's a learning opportunity then, I suppose, for me to come out and actually figure out for myself how best to do this. And again, I'm open. Give me feedback. I'm a sponge. I like to learn. So if people have good ideas or useful ideas, not really good ideas, useful ideas, then yeah, I'm happy to take on a bit of feedback and to figure out how best to use this to actually cook with. I think if you can learn from other people, especially other people's mistakes, it saves you a lot of time not making the same mistakes yourself. I think one of the things which I've come away with learning, especially doing YouTube over the past couple of years, or YouTube, yeah, you come out, I think you have a, what I'm looking for here, it's like you have to put on a show, because you see other people out there being successful, and you kind of think, well, if that's how you know, how do you create a successful YouTube channel, then you end up mimicking them, or some people mimic them. And I think we all take on traits of other YouTubers rather than finding our own kind of authentic voice. And I think that's something that I have managed to do more recently, is just be who I am. Especially when I'm being honest, talking about like things like mental health and stuff like that. It's actually quite liberating to have those conversations and not hide away from them, because I know when I was suffering with my mental health that I wouldn't have talked about how I was feeling to anyone, and that's probably the reason why it ended up being so hard for me to actually deal with. And then as soon as I actually came open about it, things became a lot easier. I think I need a bit more heat on this thing, this bad boy. Finding your authentic voice and coming out and just being honest. You know, if you don't know, you don't know. I think a lot of people come out here and pretend to be the fonts of all knowledge, to know everything there is to know about everything. That's like, I'm definitely nowhere near that. I know some stuff, but I don't know a lot. There's always more to learn. I suppose the other thing with the Trangia is that it depends on what the weather conditions are like. I mean, it's not overly windy right now. It's probably about 15-16 degrees centigrade, so not particularly hot neither. So imagine the temperature, the wind conditions also has a play on how well this thing actually cooks. It is a very slow sizzle, man. So I have mushrooms, tomatoes, and an egg to go on. Oh, And beans. Forgot about beans. So, what are the regional differences in breakfast, fried breakfast? I know in English, fried breakfast has obviously sausage, bacon, mushrooms, tomatoes, beans, and fried bread. So I remember that. I remember my grandmother came from Sheffield, and she would have done. So we grew up in West Wales. She would have done a fried breakfast, but it would have been with fried bread. And now we live over in Northern Ireland. So instead of an English breakfast over here, it's called an Ulster fry. And you'd have, with that, you'd obviously have black pudding. So you'd have your sausages, bacon, black pudding probably, mushrooms, tomatoes. You wouldn't have fried bread, eggs, mentioned eggs obviously, but you'd have soda bread and potato bread. So again, it's just a regional difference. I'm not sure what the Scottish have, if they have a regional difference in their breakfast or not. But I'm interested to know just what the regional differences are, especially seeing we've got so many followers from the States and Canada. So just what do you guys have that's different? I suppose this is an issue with Trangias again, is all the heat comes up through the middle. I mean, that is not the prettiest, but probably be tasty. Right, after that little bit of a escapade, let's tuck into this. The sausages are pork and apple from a local butcher's, and they are delish. Didn't think I was actually that hungry, but which is nice. But I think food always tastes nicer outside. That was tasty. That was good. A good lessons learnt today using the Trangia. It would appear that the simmering, whilst it does obviously work, it dampens the flame down, but maybe it dampens the flame down too much for cooking some stuff. Maybe it's just getting a bit more practice here. Well, it's definitely more practice. Yeah, so that's just gone out now, so that's an hour of cooking off one fill for Trangia, which isn't too bad, I suppose. So folks, it's a little technique or something I was taught or told. I can't remember who actually told me. is to put water back in your pans afterwards, put them back on the heat, and then just use your spatula just to get all the loose material off. Just cleans them up nicely for when you're putting them back in your case before you take them home, give them a proper wash out. And with that, I'm just going to let these things heat up again. Enjoy my coffee, and I'm just going to finish this here. This is quite a boring video, I suppose, me cooking, I don't know. But what it has shown me is that you obviously can use the Trangia with a simmering, and you can get an hour's worth of cooking out of it, which actually surprised me. I didn't know if it actually lasts that long, but to get an hour's worth of cooking out of that today, and to cook all the food I had for the fried breakfast is good. Needing a lot more practice, obviously, using that simmering to control the heat, so that I can get a really good cook, or maybe a quicker cook. I don't know, there's obviously a cost effect. If you take the simmering off, it's going to burn quicker. So yeah, just lessons to learn, I suppose. But with that, I'm just going to enjoy the coffee here, let these things heat up, clean them out, pack this away, get home. So guys, thanks for watching, and chat on the next one.